All right. So today's topic that we sent out to everybody is absolutely one of the clickbaitiest titles I've ever submitted to Marty to send.
I know.
Regardless, clickbaity or not, today we are going to be covering how to build a digital marketing agency with no time, no money, and no experience. Has anybody ever invested no time, no money, and no experience and gotten anything out of it? Like ever?
No clients.
No clients. Logan's right. It's definitely clickbaity. Simple answer is you can't. Like that. That's not real. That isn't real. But I do have real things to talk about each of those items, and I wanted to address these specific topics because I know that while you can't do it on no, no, and no, you can do it on little. Okay, you can do it on little time, little money, and little experience, and you can start to build something. Okay, and so I know that for several of our partners, and especially ones that are not even here, right? Because they don't have the time to even be here right now, and they're going to watch this video later, at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night. That this is going to have an impact on those folks, and hopefully you as well. So dilemma number one, no time. This is the one we have to fix. You can, in fact, build a digital marketing agency with no money and no experience, but the no time you have to have. Just have to. So how do you find, how are we going to find more time? I brought this up last week and it's still relevant, so it's still in my head, and that's actually kind of what led to me even thinking about this topic. It's the 1% principle. And that is the idea that if you just do 1% more every single day consistently, that it creates this exponential outcome. So, if you look at the math equation, hey, just 1% more, 1.01 over 365 days, exponentially, that 1.01 turns into 37.8. Whereas if you just do, 1 for 365 days, you didn't make any progress. If you do 1% less, all right, cool, you've really taken yourself backwards, right? So that 1%, and that's actually what I want to focus in on today, because I do not want to put a unnecessary expectation and burden on someone that cannot, dedicate an hour every day to building their agency. Like I'm talking about the people that are just really starting out here, okay? And they're working full time and maybe overtime, and they know they have to escape the rat race of just constantly hand to mouth. I want to just encourage a very small thing, which is the 1%. Okay. A habit of just 10 minutes a day will have more impact than 2 hours of binge effort, even weekly or bi-weekly, right? Which would equate to more time than 10 minutes a day, is if 2 hours, a binge. That will have a greater impact. I remember I was listening to a podcast, and I was listening about this guy who wanted to lose weight, and it was he was severely overweight. He wanted to lose weight, and so he needed to go to the gym. And so what he decided he was going to do is he was going to go to the gym for 10 minutes every day. And that's not enough time to do a whole lot, right? But he knew that if he just got in the habit of getting the stuff, getting in the car, getting to the gym, spending 10 minutes, leaving, get into that habit, that he was gonna make it, that he was going to accomplish it, and that it was certain he was going to make it. If he could just establish the habit. Habits are so incredibly powerful. We are creatures of habit. So I'd much rather encourage you a realistic habit that you can honestly fit, and it doesn't have to be 10 minutes a day, right? That's me breaking it down to the really micro level that I know that in fact, every single person could in fact find. I wanted to break it down to the point that I go, there's no reason, that you couldn't. Every single person, I guarantee, can find 10 minutes a day. that exists. Well, what's that for you, right? Make it something that's for you. Obviously, you add on to this, and the rate of speed at which you accomplish it, of course, increases. So, is that 30 minutes? Is it an hour? What is the habit? So that's what I wanted to impress upon. So, all right, cool, Mike. 10 minutes a day. I'm really busy, and cool. Let's build the habit. Where are you going to find the 10 minutes? One, take inventory of your time. What is it spent on? Maybe you do that for a couple of days, for a week, and you go, all right, well, I'm spending, an hour here. I'm spending 8 hours at work, 9 hours, 10 hours at work. Then I got kids. Then I got this. Then I got this. All right. Then I wind down and I do this. Where is it? Take inventory of the time. Not awareness is key, right? Then you can kind of figure things out. Identify. The second thing I'll say is, if you're going to only give yourself the 10 minutes, then it's all about execution. It's all about working on that, whatever needs to be worked on next. Identify your number one priority that has to happen the night before. And I want to regularly encourage this whole night before idea, because your brain keeps working on things when you're sleeping, and it will help you. So when you actually go to wake up and you're driven on mission of like, oh, I know exactly what I'm doing. I get up, I got my coffee, go. Execute. Stop doing the popularly sold habits that aren't actually helpful. So if you don't have time, and this isn't going to apply to everybody, but there's a lot of people in the business world that they believe that, hey, my morning routine is, I'm going to meditate, and I'm going to read, and I'm going to exercise, and I'm going to blah, 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 blah. Right. In fact, I executed for a really long time. There's a book I really liked, and I'm not poo-pooing these things. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do these things. I think there's life value outside of work and financial creation. But if we're in rat race mode and trying to break out of it, there is a season perhaps where you get super focused on this. Okay. That's what I'm encouraging, a season, not a life of never doing anything else. Right. So I did Savers Forever. And that it's detailed in the Miracle Morning book. If anybody's ever heard it or seen it, by Hal Elrod. Super enjoyed it. And it's silence, affirmation, visualization, exercise, reading, scribing. And you could break that down to like a 1 minute thing if you wanted to, which I actually did with Marty for a period of time. And it would be the way that we started our day. But regardless, if we're so light on time, we eliminate those things too, right? And we just go, all right, it's all about execution. We start saying no more often. So this is where you got to take inventory. What are the things that we're saying no to? Stop letting other people impede on what is our priority. We have to accomplish this. And one of the key things, if you're only going to give 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it is, whatever your dedication of that habit, I want to encourage the habit time to turn off the phone, the emails, the social media when working on the top priority. Whatever that one top priority is, eliminate the distractions. Because urgent things are not important things, and important things often, unfortunately, aren't urgent things. So you often get distracted from what's important. First things first. So I'm an evening person, but if I'm in this mode of it's very important for me to escape the rat race and I don't have time, it has to be first. It has to be what I dedicate. I have to figure out how I'm going to get to bed on time so I can wake up and execute on the most important thing first. It has to be first, because that's what tells you're telling yourself this is my priority and I'm going to make it happen because it's the first thing. So I know that's hard, but that's, if it's a priority, if this is your priority and that's what you're trying to accomplish and that's the life you want to achieve, it has to be first. So your number one priority, you've already detailed it the night before. You get your cup of coffee and go. Like, execute, right? Nothing in between. And then what is first, I will say, is determined by the season that you're in. I am encouraging, like I said before, a season of this. I'm not encouraging a forever life of there's nothing else is important. Work's the only thing. Creating finance is the only thing. We're trying to escape and we're trying to build something so we can live the lifestyle that we want to live and grow and run an agency that we want to run. Then this is the season that we're electing for. I'm sure a lot of people have heard this story. If you haven't, I want to share it. Kind of curious if you have. So if you have, raise your hand. The whole rocks, pebbles, sand story. Brent, have you heard it? No?
I think I know where this is. Don't quite remember it.
Okay, no worries.
It's
So
something in
there's
Philadelphia.
yeah. You're thinking right. So there's a professor,
Mhm.
and he has a jar. He drops in some rocks into the jar and he says, "Hey, is this full?" And class says, "Yeah." He goes, "Huh." Get some gravel, pours it in. Oh, it's filling in all the spaces, shakes it around. Is it full? Yeah, no, no. You know, some people not agreeing. Pours in sand. Is it full? Pours in some water, right? So the idea and the reason that this story is important and relates to what we're talking about today is it can either look like this and you don't have room for the rocks, they don't make it in, or it can look like the picture on the right, which is you put the rocks, which are the most important priority things, in first. Then you put in the pebbles or the gravel, the smaller pieces that are next level of importance. Then you put in the sand, all the other stuff last. If you mess up that priority, the sand ends up on the bottom. The pebbles end up in because they are urgent, not important. And the important stuff doesn't make it in. It's up top. It didn't make it into the day. It didn't occur. And so thus, and you're still in the same place. So, and this is super important when you're first starting out. If time is the limiting factor, make sure you're selling someone else's time so you can grow something big. If your time's the limiting factor, don't sell your time because you're going to plateau very quickly of, oh, I got a client or I got 2 clients or whatever it is. And I don't have any more time. I have no more time to grow this thing and I'm stuck. Got to sell somebody else's time, which is why that company exists and why we are the organization that we are for our partners, is because it allows them to build up an agency without selling their own personal time. All right. So that's time. Got to solve that one. That's the most important one. Dilemma number 2 is no money. One, for my partners that are working full-time jobs and the money is paying the bills, you got nothing put into this. There's a couple of things I'll tackle, but I kind of want to jump ahead and say money isn't the most essential ingredient to create success in the beginning of starting an agency. It is a limiting belief if you think you have to have money to start. Money can be a multiplier. It can add acceleration, and it can add ease to your life, but it is not a requirement. But it does make things easier. So if we want to make things easier and we want to bring money to the table, here are some things we can do. Optimize your current income. Look at what you're currently making and evaluate. Just because you've been working that job for X number of years at that company, is it working? Are you optimizing your current skill sets and the money that you're making? Should you be investing elsewhere? And is it worth the amount of time that you're putting in? Is the overtime worth it compared to, like, are you able to make it on working 8 hours versus 10 versus 12? Where can you pay your bills and then give yourself time back so you can build the thing you want to build? So you look at that, right? You optimize your current income. Are there other opportunities that you have to sell your time because you got to pay your bills? Are there other opportunities that will enable you to do that in a more efficient manner? That's one. Two, minimizing expenses. I don't want to harp on this. This is pretty commonplace and discussed regularly. Is the problem the coffee in the morning that you're buying? No. Yes, I realize that all the money's going to rent and food and survival, right? But there are perhaps small things that for a season we pull back from and that enable this to go faster. But like I said, capital is not what's essential to build this. Can you raise capital? Some people don't think about this. They don't feel comfortable talking about money or asking for money. Outside of just, it's in my pocket and I spend it, right? It's mine. And it is definitely an opportunity that can exist. And it may not be a whole lot, but it can be something. But what's your network look like? Maybe family's not it. Maybe it is. Maybe there's an uncle out there that will invest. Maybe not. Maybe it's a friend. Are there opportunities to raise capital? And this is how a lot of people start their businesses. A lot of people have family and friends that they beseech and go to, and they share the dream and the vision that they have, and that's how they get their initial capital. So is that an opportunity? Realize you can do a lot without money, but you need time. Money is a leveling up tool for a digital marketing agency, not a creating level 1 tool of starting a digital marketing agency, in particular, a digital marketing agency. I'm not going to say every business. There's plenty of businesses you just cannot start without capital, right? But the nice thing about this business type is you can. And then from there, realize that you outgrow your problems. And that's my favorite mentality is if you have a problem, outgrow your problem. So the way you outgrow your problem is you get your first client and now you got finances and now you got the finances to reinvest into leveling up. There you go. That's dilemma number 2. And those are the various thought processes I want to take you through. Dilemma number 3, no experience. I think this is the easiest one that I can address because 1, you gain it by doing, not theorizing and thinking about the best way to do it. We talked about that a little last week as well. And the whole pottery class, the professor said, hey, one half of the class is going to be graded by sheer tonnage of pottery that you make. The other side of the class is going to be graded based on how perfect the pottery is that you create. And at the end of the semester, the ones that made the best pottery were actually the ones that did the most tonnage because they were having to do so much versus sitting around thinking about how to do it the best. So putting in the work is going to help you get the experience. A lot of people start without the experience. It's not a factor that should keep you from starting. And the other part is if you're here and you're in this meeting, the whole point of that company is we transfer our experience to you, provide you with the experienced professionals who handle the service delivery so you can be confident that what you're selling to the customer is going to be of good value to them. So we solved that dilemma, I think, pretty well. What are the key takeaways? Time, you got to prioritize and build a habit, a minimum 10 minutes a day. Believe everybody can find it. Working on the top priority each day, 1% daily builds. Money, you don't need it to start, and experience, you don't need it to start. And we're here to help with that. So there you go.